We have all experienced that sudden, charged moment across a crowded room. You lock eyes with someone, freeze, and immediately begin running through a mental checklist, trying to decode if they are genuinely interested or simply being polite. That confusion is backed by data. Research from the University of Pennsylvania shows that 55% of human communication is entirely nonverbal. Yet a recent study found that only 23% of adults can accurately interpret those exact attraction signals. We are hit with a volume of information that the conscious mind can't fully navigate. The reason for this blind spot is rooted in our evolutionary hardware. When it comes to attraction, our ancient limbic brain, the region controlling survival and deep emotion, processes these signals milliseconds before our rational mind can step in to filter them. To bridge the gap between what our biology is doing and what our brain is realizing, behavioral psychologists look to the proximity scale. This is a framework that decodes attraction by tracking how physical cues predictably shift as the physical distance between two people closes. Because our biology reacts significantly faster than our logic, it is difficult to hide our initial physical responses. These signals often reveal our internal state long before we decide to speak. The furthest end of the proximity scale starts at a distance, where the first autonomic response takes over: involuntary pupil dilation. Governed by the nervous system, our pupils expand automatically to let in more visual information the moment we spot a desirable subject. Next comes the glance. A casual observer will perform a room sweep, smoothly scanning a space without lingering on any one person. A direct look, however, is targeted. It breaks the smooth panning motion and focuses intently on a single subject. This eye-tracking pattern is the triangle gaze. With friends, eyes dart between the eyes and nose, but when attraction sparks, the path widens, tracing left eye, right eye, dropping straight to the mouth. This widened pattern indicates the brain is focusing on physical intimacy. At a distance, attraction involves zero passive observation. The human brain is actively running a subconscious simulation of closeness. Moving into the mid-range of the scale, the physical distance shrinks to a few feet. Here, the somatic nervous system takes the wheel, physically preparing the body to interact. One of the more reliable indicators at this stage is the foot-pointing phenomenon. We direct nearly all of our conscious energy into managing our facial expressions and our posture, leaving our feet entirely unmonitored. Consequently, they tend to point toward the person we are focused on. As the gap narrows further, you will often spot a sudden burst of preening, like smoothing hair, adjusting a collar, or nervous fidgeting right before direct engagement. This fidgeting stems from an acute biological mechanism. The autonomic nervous system triggers a localized adrenaline spike in anticipation of the encounter. The body then burns off that excess chemical energy through repetitive micro-movements. Fidgeting and nervous energy around a specific person indicate the presence of high emotional stakes. The nervous system is demonstrating a state of genuine arousal. Finally, the gap closes completely. The barrier of distance evaporates, and two distinct nervous systems lock into a direct face-to-face feedback loop. Within this loop, behavioral mirroring, or the chameleon effect, takes hold. One person involuntarily adopts the posture, hand placement, or leaning angle of the other, a mechanism the brain uses to signal trust and alignment. This echoing frequently deepens into directional coupling. The two individuals begin to synchronize their physical rhythms, matching the pace of their subtle swaying and even aligning their blink rates. This interaction also actively rewires our psychology, frequently triggering a phenomenon known as the Ben Franklin effect. This flowchart maps how cognitive dissonance shapes attraction. Performing a small favor, like holding a drink, creates a direct conflict with a baseline state of neutrality. To resolve this tension, the brain rationalizes the behavior, deciding, I must like this person if I'm helping them. These interactions create a loop of physical synchronization and psychological adjustment. By mirroring each other's movements and rationalizing our proximity, we begin to build a shared connection before a relationship is ever defined. While these involuntary cues provide a map of attraction, they can also be misread. We have to consider what happens when this biological broadcast is happening in only one direction. Psychologists define this trap as limerence, a state of involuntary, highly obsessive, and entirely one-sided romantic fixation. Actual mutual attraction is characterized by a feeling of safety, comfortable silence, and physical syncing. Limerence, conversely, is marked by severe anxiety, emotional isolation, and the halo effect, where an individual ignores the flaws of their fixation. Distinguishing genuine chemistry from internal delusion comes down to two specific factors: consistency and reciprocity. Pupil dilation, the foot-pointing phenomenon, and directional coupling are only markers of mutual attraction if they flow in both directions. The biology requires a mirrored response. We often obsess over finding the perfect words to start a connection. But because attraction triggers so many involuntary physical responses, the body usually reveals the nature of the encounter before the conversation even begins.